the ruler of Helheim, eldest of the Olympians, the god of the dead and the god whom other gods rely on most. Hades is a ruler through and through, shouldering the burden of all those who rely on him and living up to the expectations placed on him. In such a way he is looked up to and respected, but as a result he himself is left devoid of his own passions of being a person, not just a ruler. A tragic flaw that in the end leads to his defeat, and that is what we shall explore today. So if you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing that bell. Anyway, on with the video. Our first introduction to Hades comes within round 6 of Ragnarok, following the appearance of Herjun. As the ruler of the Netherworld, Hades is most familiar with at least the legend of the accursed demon, and after a bit of colourful commentary, he decides to replace Buddha and fight in Ragnarok. Though before we get to his round, let's first examine his design. Firstly, it is very official and formal, especially when compared to the attire of other gods like Zeus and Poseidon. This perhaps showing how, unlike his brother Zeus, he isn't treating this as a fun game, this is business. His attire in general gives off an official and royal feeling, very fitting of the ruler he is. As Hades says, he is choosing to fight in Ragnarok for one reason: to avenge his brother. What drives him in this round is not his own passion, so to say, but instead his duty as a brother, something hammered home when he takes the remains of Poseidon's trident from Proteus, literally taking on the burden of Proteus' lust for revenge. He is shouldering the feelings of others, fighting for not his own feelings, but theirs. It is why he is the god others rely on most, because he is the god who shoulders the burdens of the other gods. Hence why, as he says, even though Poseidon himself would not have wanted revenge, he will seek it anyway, because that's what an eldest brother should do. Really making it clear to us that the reason he is fighting here is not because he, Hades, wants to, but because he, the eldest brother, thinks he should be. And so by combining his bident and Poseidon's trident, he quite literally is taking on the feelings of others into this match. His weapon is quite literally not his own, what he is fighting with is the feelings of another. As the match begins, the framing of the two is made quite apparent. This is a contest of kings, to decide which ruler truly stands on top. The greatest ruler of the gods versus the greatest ruler in human history. The first words Hades says to Qin Shi Huang is that he has nothing against him personally, yet still he must kill him as he is a human. And humans killed Poseidon. It's almost as if this is just a job to him. No emotions like hatred for his opponent as an individual are needed. And that, in my opinion, is perfectly illustrated in his attacks. Nothing but clean, clinical and precise thrusts, the simplest method to get the job done and kill his opponent. Unlike Poseidon's thrusts, which were as basic as could be, to show how even the least of efforts from a god could destroy a human, to me Hades' thrusts give off the air of pure efficiency, not to make a mockery of the human before him and to show of his divine strength, but instead to simply get the job done. After their first exchange, Hades poses a question to his foe: what in his eyes makes a king? To which Qin Shi Huang replies that a king is one who never doubts, never yields, never relies, and always stands as the leader of his people, something which reminds Hades of his brother, strengthening his resolve to fight. But once again, it is the thought of his brother that gives him resolve. No, it is in fact that he is Poseidon's eldest brother that makes him declare he will not lose. After we learn of Qin Shi Huang's backstory, we come to understand why he became a great king, to honour Chang'an's wishes, which on the surface makes him seem to be fighting for the same reasons as Hades, for the sake of others. Hades compliments Qin Shi Huang and his devotion to his duty as a king. He values his opponent because, like him, he is carrying on another's burden, serving as a king to honour his loved ones. As Adamus says, of course Hades will win, because he is their eldest brother. The expectations for Hades keep piling on. And he meets them, whistling in the same way as Poseidon and slicking back his hair, again like Poseidon. It's just like with his weapon, he is becoming Poseidon. He isn't fighting as himself, he is fighting as another, for the sake of not his desires, but somebody else's. But what this scene also demonstrates is the lengths Hades will go in order to win. He will sacrifice his body, cutting open his chest if it means negating Qin Shi Huang's techniques. And then he coats his weapon in his blood, making it stronger of course, but risking his own life too. A king will suffer for their people, he will suffer for victory, and this gamble paid off, allowing him to overpower Qin Shi Huang and state once more that he shall win, because he is their eldest brother. And it's no wonder he is held in such a level, why such things are expected of him, because of what we see in his flashback. Though before we talk about his legendary stand against the forces of Tartarus, I first want to point out what Hades is wearing in this flashback. in that it's the same as his normal design, even though every other of the Olympians is wearing a snazzy military style suit. But to that you might say, well duh, because his normal outfit is already a snazzy military style suit. And that's the point. Hades, shackled by his duty, never yields his uniform. Even after the war is over, he still stands at the ready. That is his duty. He will forever remain the never yielding, never changing symbol, the inspiring god all can rely on, and so he cannot change, not even his outfit may change, because he must remain this reliable, never changing symbol that any god can rely on at any time. The war never ended for him because no matter the occasion he is always ready to uphold his duty. He will never grow lax, never be casual, will always be dressed in the same fancy suit that represents his leadership in battle. And he takes that same suit to fight off all the titans invading Helheim without telling a soul. Why? Because he only did what was right as an eldest brother. He risked his life to protect his brothers, and then declares to Poseidon that he shall never lose. As the eldest brother, he shall not be defeated. That is the resolve he has, to give everything for his duty, and as Adamantine says, he has no reason for all this beyond his love for his brothers. And as the finale of the round approaches, Qin Shi Huang makes a declaration. Taking up a sword, a sign of personal conquest, he declares he wants to win. Not for the sake of his people, but that he personally wants to for his own sake. This is what Hades lacked, a personal drive, a desire beyond being a brother, beyond his duty. It's exactly as Adamantine said, he has no reason to fight except his brothers. But Qin Shi Huang has two reasons. Number one, his duty to his people, much like Hades, but then also his desire to win for himself. This of course is not to say Hades was wrong for fighting as he did, but when it comes down to it, both are the same. Great kings who suffered for their people, who rose to their heights for others' sakes. But then, that slight difference, that drive that Hades lacked, is what tipped Qin Shi Huang over the edge, if only slightly. A king rises from the end and brings about the beginning. Unlike Hades, the never-changing, ever-present symbol of kingship, Qin Shi Huang still wanted to change, to grow, to become even greater. And Hades acknowledges this. He expected nothing less from a king. And in a way, by doing so, acknowledging Qin Shi Huang's true right to rule, he came to understand his own flawed thinking, leading to the heartbreaking moment of Hades as he dies, apologising to his brothers for not keeping his vow to them, of, in his words, failing as a brother. And by doing so, he for the first time got to be not a king, not a brother, but just a person, just Hades. Venting his frustrations, his sadness, his emotions, all the things he was not allowed to do as the king of the Netherworld. And as bitter as it is, that the first time he is able to be free of his burden is through sadness and grief, at least for just one moment at the end, he could be just Hades. Qin Shi Huang called Hades his friend, acknowledging that even if he lost, his way of ruling was not at fault. Hades may have failed in his duty, but he had nothing to be ashamed of. He did everything in his power to live up to those expectations, so even if he failed, everyone understood his intentions and the great god that he was. And if you want to support this channel even further, then perhaps pledge to my Patreon, or consider becoming a channel member, so you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, Rinjak9696, Mr. Sputum, and Matthias Rowett. So with all that said and done, I have been SephTheSin, the deadly sin of geek, and I am signing out. Stay safe, everyone.